Okay, folks, we're back live.
So make a motion to come out of executive session?
Second it.
I don't think we have to do that.
No, we don't need
Oh,
to.
we don't?
No.
We don't.
Okay.
Good.
Continue on with the item.
That's why
All right. If I may, I just like to ask a couple of questions. Has any of the council members reviewed Mr. DeCranis's resume? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
I have not. I have not been
Okay.
supplied with it.
Chris, Mike, have you reviewed?
Yes, I have. I viewed it. I didn't really. I'll be lying if I said I dug in.
I can't.
I just reviewed it. I didn't dig into it. I was on vacation.
Okay, so how is it?
I know Frank for 20
how is
years.
it
Know
the
his
three of you had
qualifications.
his resume and Roy and I did not?
Say again?
How is it the three of you had the resume and Roy and I did not?
I don't know.
We spoke to him about it.
Yeah.
So that's my next question. Who spoke to Frank?
I did.
Chris, Mike, did you speak with Frank?
Again, I was on vacation.
I didn't speak to Frank. I spoke to our city manager and our council president.
Okay.
Who gave you the resume, though?
So,
Mike? Who
Okay.
gave you the resume?
So we are going to talk about hiring and firing of personnel.
no.
So
No,
then-
I asked who
No.
gave the resume.
Yes,
No,
that means
because
executive
I'm about-
session.
Let me
The
get to
hiring
my-
and firing of personnel requires executive session. I move for an executive session. Make a motion.
We're not talking about hiring and firing, if you let me get to my point. A fundamental responsibility of the council in this instance is to ensure the candidate is the right candidate, and you do that by reviewing a resume and speaking with the candidate, which clearly a number of the council members have not done. So I am going, because this council hasn't fulfilled its basic responsibility on this issue, I'm going to make a motion to table this so we can do our job and then vote on this at the next meeting. So I am making a motion to table.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion to table the item. Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
No.
Vice President Fiamora.
Nope.
President Finn.
No.
Motion fails.
Okay.
Okay.
Comments from the public?
We have comments from the public, please.
Well, wait, we have questions.
That's why we had the executive session, Roy.
No, the executive session was stuff we couldn't talk about in public.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why we have executive
Okay,
sessions.
okay, Roy.
All right, what is Mr. DeCranis getting paid
Getting the same salary
as Dennis?
in the budget, the salary that's in the budget.
Okay. And we still pay Dennis 3 months severance, or is it 4?
Whatever contract that you offered to him.
Do you know? In other words,
Do
you
you
don't
know it? Why are you asking me if you gave him
Because
the
I
contract?
don't remember. Is it 3 or 4? Do you know?
It's 3 months you gave
3
him.
months. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one more. So the only people that should be involved in this decision are the 5 council members and the city manager. And as we've seen, that wasn't the case here. Was there any discussions with anyone out of that group about this? In particular, perhaps anyone from the local political parties, or the county political parties?
Excuse me?
Was there any discussion about this hiring of this position with anybody from the local or county Republican Party?
I discussed this with Frank, and I think that's enough. I think that's enough for hiring him. I discussed it with Frank. Frank DeCranis, just to fill you in, because You asked about his resume. Frank DeCranis was the city judge, as I'm sure you're aware. He's a retired ADA from Queens, from Nassau County, a longtime Long Beach resident, longtime Long Beach business owner, and had a very lucrative, well-run law firm in Long Beach. So I've known Frank DeCranis for, I'd say, 30 years. I find him to be a man of great integrity, great competence, and a person who knows Long Beach and knows the law. So as such, I discussed with our city manager, and I said, I think this would be a good hire. And then I believe that Dan interviewed Frank.
So, yeah, I'll speak on this as well. So if you're implying that they all have met Frank before and that this decision was made, I've been interviewing, I must have interviewed 5 or 6 people for Corporation Counsel since I got here. Frank's resume was sent to me by Brendan. I did interview him, and I thought he was a good choice for Corporation Counsel. It may not be a decision that everybody likes. It's a decision that I think that role, Corporation Counsel, is someone that should be very close to the city manager, someone that the city manager can lean on and depend on. And I'm not saying that that's not something I could do with Dennis, but I think it's someone that you have to have ultimate trust in. I met him. I thought he was a good choice. He was a good fit, and I thought he was a good choice. And that's when I sent the email to all of the city council saying, I'd like to go in this direction. And I think that's even when, John, you said that it has to go to city council for vote at the open
Correct.
meeting.
And what did not happen is we weren't given his resume. We weren't afforded the he was supposed to come to meet the city council 3 weeks ago. He didn't show up for whatever reason. And
Did you ask for his resume, John?
well, apparently it was distributed.
But
So
did you ask
you-
for it?
Well, that's part of an interview process. If this council did its job properly and interviewed Frank like it should have, that's part of that interview process. That's how interviews work. So look, you said it. Elections have consequences.
No, I didn't say that. Barack Obama said that.
Okay. Elections have consequences. You're entitled to put your people in place. That's how the game works. So I just find it unusual. Again, we talk about functioning as a team. In a team, you would bring us into this discussion. We may not agree,
Okay. It looks
but
that way
you would
right
bring
now.
us in on a discussion at least, and that
Okay.
clearly did not happen. So, and when I tried to rectify that now, so we could have an opportunity to speak with Frank, you decided no. So,
Okay.
it is what it is.
All right.
And
Any questions from the public? Mike?
I just have a couple of questions. I don't believe that you probably can answer them tonight. It's my understanding that Judge DeCranis is retired because he can no longer serve in the court system because he's aged out. That's my understanding, unless it's a different Frank DeCranis. I can only tell you the experience that I've had when I served in your seats interviewing corporation counsels is, and I'm not recommending this, I'm just sharing with you what I experienced as a member of, let's say, a city resident who really doesn't care to be an elected official. I thought it was my duty at the time to straighten out the city finances, which I think we did a fairly good job. Here's my concern. If you had no other people apply for the job, then I would recommend, and it may be too late now, at least solicit some kind of other resumes. That's all. So this is my advice. I don't expect you take it or leave it. you're elected to best serve the city as you see fit. I'm sure there's a severance to Mr. Cohen, and thank you for your service, Mr. Cohen. Wherever you go, I wish you a lot of luck. Long Beach has suffered hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer-funded lawsuits. For example, we collectively, we all residents, have to pay for the Haberman judgment, which went from 130 million roughly to 75. What people don't realize is that there was another litigation that you're going to see on your tax bill called the super block litigation. I think that's a 12 to 15 year out payout. And on your tax bill, it says super block litigation. If you look back at the history of that, there's some issues that I hope this council does not get in to that same predicament. That's all I'm going to say, because his position keeps you guys legal, not skirting a problem, and I don't want to see any more lawsuits that we have to defend. Thank you.
Eileen?
So, Mr. Reinhardt and Fiamara, if you had been left out of the conversation and not seen the resume and so forth, would you feel bad? Or would you feel like it's okay for the other three to make it? This is really just a rhetorical question. And Mr. Finn, you just gave all the qualifications of Mr. DeCranis. You just said all his qualifications. You kind of ran down his resume for John and Roy.
I know they know who
But
he is.
if you, they don't what?
I'm pretty sure they know who he is.
Oh, I'm sure they do too, but you just said what was on his resume, basically. You summarized it.
Yeah, right.
So if you could do that tonight, why couldn't you have included them in choosing this guy? Because you know what? If they voted against him, you still win. You have 3 votes against 2, and you will for a while.
Right.
So why not include them? It's so disrespectful and so dysfunctional. Just include them. You can still get your way. You can still do what you want.
I thought you said earlier, Dan, you did include John. And he was the one who told you he has to go on the...
But why would you exclude anyone? Why would you
I think,
exclude
Eileen,
Mr. Ryan?
I think
No,
what
but-
he's saying, what Dan is
answer.
saying is that he did share the resume or shared the
But
information.
the choosing of this man was done by, I don't know who did it, but 2 people didn't. That much I see. And that's what it sounds like up here. I mean, there's no hiding it. So why do you disrespect them so much? Make it at least look to us like you're functional. I mean,
Do you mean me in particular?
it's so easy to do. You could have invited them in, and if they said, we don't like this guy, we're voting him against him, you still get him in.
I would like to take you behind the scenes someday, and you'll see how dysfunctional things can be.
I bet.
But
It must
I'll tell
be
you right,
scary.
I'll tell you right now, I want the best for this city. We wanted to hire a person from the city who had knowledge of the
And
city.
you could
who
do
has
that and
great
still
knowledge,
make it
and
look
we
like
have-
you included
we have-
all of the members of the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Did all 5 people choose you, Mr. Cohen? Well, I don't mean did all 5 vote for you, but were all 5 involved in choosing Corporation Counsel? Yes. And thus it has ever been. Include these people. You're just being a bully.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Hi, thank you. I don't know how it came about, And I'm sure it's not, I don't like the fighting that's going on, and it should stop. But,
I don't either.
okay, but Dennis Cohen has told me numerous times that I didn't know what I was talking about. For a fact, I know I did, because I talked to my lawyer, who, by the way, the stuff that's gone on with Equinor never should have went on. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he was not informed properly. And I will tell you, the last thing that happened with Equinor, I don't know if it was for spite. I don't know why it happened the way it did. He had 14 days to submit something. And I know it went back and forth, and you all know what I'm talking about. He had to reply to a motion. It got filed at 4:45 on the last day of business when it was supposed to be filed. And Equinor is trying to throw it out now. So him being let go is by all means the way it should be, because that is not okay. So if this city ends up with an issue because of that, and the motion with the judges don't go because it gets thrown out, then we know what's going on here. So that's all I'm going to say. So thank you, because me standing up here in January and being told I didn't know what I was talking about, and then when the motion was finally filed and Equinor went back at you and laughed at all of you because he could have filed it weeks, months before, if you all read that DMM, and they can all go back and see it because it's public knowledge. It's on the DMM that everybody could have filed a motion about that stuff, and I was constantly told I was wrong. And all my information when I came up here was directly from my lawyer. I didn't talk out of my butt, believe me. So thank you for what you're doing. I don't think the fighting should go on anymore, and it should come to terms. I don't know who you're hiring, but I hope they have more interest in us as people and the city, and not just telling us we don't know what we're talking about when we come up here with information.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Kathleen O'Leary, Long Beach. I notice a pattern here, and I don't like it. What I would like is the city council to run by its own rules, which is if 5 people are supposed to be included in a decision, that 5 people get included in a decision. Starting with the city manager, I remember Tina Pasteri submitting an email that no one seemed to read, picking from the candidates that the city paid, I think, $100,000 from the selection committee to. Next came this situation where you pushed out a worker from the ethics committee to put in someone else who is perfectly fine. I know the gentleman, but you shouldn't be pushing people out just because you want to put your people in. It's unethical. And the last thing is, this is the same situation. You didn't include the council. You just put someone who you like in there and skip the people who legally are supposed to be making the decisions. There's something wrong here. We don't want this BS. You seem to be following the MAGA playbook. That's exactly what you seem to be following. And I don't like it, and other people don't like it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm in the city of Long Beach.
Christina.
MAGA playbook.
I didn't see it.
Good evening, Christina Kramer. I just wanted to point out that we had a $900,000 deficit. We have $1 million our beach is losing every year from maintenance. So I'm hoping that with this new council, whoever it is, that they're well versed at the offshore wind industry, and that we don't have to spend $900,000 on consultant counsel because we found somebody who can do more than what we've had. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Nora, right?
Nora Egan. I just have a quick question. Are we supposed to post jobs, open jobs, on the city website so that it's open for all applicants?
Well, it depends on the job.
for this particular? Because I remember seeing positions for Corp Counsel before, for the Office of Corp Counsel. So I'm just curious. I have a bad taste in my mouth after Rob Agostisi, so I'm very nervous about my Corp Counsels.
I'll have to check into it. I asked the Corp Counsel.
So I didn't hear.
I would have to check into that. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I don't think so, but I'll check.
That the positions doesn't have to be publicly advertised?
Correct. I'd have to check that.
Okay. And if you're leaving, who will get back to me?
I'll let the city manager know, and he can.
Okay, will you get back to me? Thank you.
James?
James, 95 East Fulton Street. I see that we are at debate again, and it is quite okay, but what I see wrong in this is that it doesn't matter if there's a majority on one side. I think that everybody should be included, and at the end of the day, you will make your decision, and the decision will be made. Thank you for the time that you gave us, Mr. Cohen. I mean, you kind of knew this was going to happen. People get in, and the majority brings in their people. Sometimes we know that sometimes they bring in people unqualified, but as long as they have the majority. In this case, Judge DeCranis is an amazing business owner. He was an amazing judge. His son is an amazing officer who was injured in the line of duty. Great family. Listen, I would just say no matter whoever resume you're looking at, and whenever bringing in anyone, as the city, listen, you got the majority that voted you in to do what is right. Again, you don't have to, we already been here for hours, and then to go in executive session, you guys could have hammered all of that out. They shouldn't have to ask for the resumes, but they should be sent to everyone, whether they are going to disagree or not. Have that debate, have that fight back there. It doesn't matter. It's going to get out when you do it. Again, DeCranis, anybody you bring in any position, we talk about resumes. Well, I think the Corporation Council should even talk to all of the city council members about every position that they take in this city. Because when people talk about resumes and qualifications, there are some things that's going on right now on social media about qualifications. The city has a job to do something with housing authority, right? And the city manager appoints 5 people over there. Well, there's something going on, and people are talking about resumes. So it doesn't matter what party you're in. When you understand James is here for people, what's fair for every side is fair for everybody's side. And when we talk about qualifications, what you're good for, what you're good in, we got this many over here, so they'll point over here. We got this many over here. Listen, what's fair is fair, what's right is right. Doesn't matter who knows them, listen, everybody should have had the resume. Everybody should have had the resume. And the fact of the matter is, again, the Corporation Council, I say any Corporation Council, counsel all the council members about the decisions that they make in the whole city of Long Beach, because it can affect the way the council look. A lot of people don't know whether you're Democrat or Republican. They just know you're a council member, And so as I echo all of the people that stood up before me, make sure you're qualified for any position that you hire somebody in. Make sure you're qualified even in the argument to tell people that everybody needs to see every resume. Every resume should be saw all over this town, and everybody should be qualified. Thank you for your job that you gave us in the time, and thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thanks, Jim.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll close that one.
On to item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a charitable donation.
This item allows us to accept a donation of T-shirts from Mount Sinai, South Nassau, for our lifeguards. This does not change our contractual obligation to buy shirts for the lifeguards, but it is a positive for both the lifeguards and for South Nassau.
Question from the council.
As I understand, these lifeguards are going to look like official lifeguard shirts and can be worn on duty?
I believe they could be worn on duty, but they have South Nassau emblems on the back, I believe, right, Joe?
Are we going to allow any of our other people to have advertisements on their uniforms?
Have not looked at that closely, but I understand your concern on that. Joe, do we have any on any of our recreation, any of our other, oh, there we go.
Scoot in, sir.
They were on last year, right, Joe?
Those are from last year, scoot and board shirts for beach maintenance, parks and recreation.
So that's part of the uniform?
Well, we don't have uniforms per se.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about those that do have uniforms.
The lifeguards.
Well, lifeguards, police have uniform, fire department has uniforms, sanitation have uniforms, stuff like that. So, I mean, that might be, if that's what the direction we're going, it might be a great money saver.
Without a
we
doubt.
just won't have to give uniforms anymore, and we'll let the advertisement.
Look, if somebody's willing to, a paid advertisement to augment a uniform cost.
And Dennis, there's no problem with that? We can do that?
Yeah, I don't see any issue with it.
All right, maybe something we should explore.
100%.
So, Joe, but there were advertisements on them last year as well.
Yeah, there's been advertisements on them. I did it in the 1990s with the lifeguards.
Right.
We have shirts, that people put out in Jones Beach, but we're not allowed, they're not part of the official uniform. We're not allowed to wear them on duty because they feel that uniforms shouldn't have advertisements. But, if the city needs money, maybe we can do that.
I guess advertisements
Rich,
within
what
reasons
would
as
you
well.
guys want?
Like the long trunks. No?
The
Like
Mets and
the
Yankees.
NHL, like
Yeah.
FIFA, like
all do.
any major league sports team has advertisements.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions from the public? Okay. Close that one then.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for a fireworks display to celebrate the 4th of July.
Okay, this item is, as mentioned, to enter into an agreement with the company to provide fireworks at a cost of $44,000 to celebrate July 4th.
Questions from the council?
Yes, that's just for the fireworks, the 44,000, correct?
I believe it's fireworks as well as providing a barge to shoot the fireworks off from.
Right. Now, under the contract, we're obligated to do a lot of other things, too. With all the safety and stuff like that, and certain publicity that we have to give them, and if anything happens, if a rainstorm's too hard or anything like that, we lose all the money. If, I guess they call it force majeure. But we never got any contributions for this.
I believe all we were able to get so far this year is $5,000, but there are 2 areas where we have contributions that are more general, and I believe there were 2 of them were both for $15,000. So I think that totals 35 of the 44, and I believe there's another 5,000, Stacy, that we have that is also general that may be able to be used for this as well.
So we didn't get anybody to sponsor except who was the 5,000 that's sponsoring us?
Stacy, could you come up and do you know who the 5,000 was specific to fireworks was?
It's Mount Sinai.
I believe it was Mount Sinai, but I'm not positive. Sorry, Stacy's our person who gets a lot of the proposals. She may not have this information with her, so I hate putting her on the spot. But I believe it was South Nassau, but I'm not positive.
Stacy, last year they were fully paid for, weren't they? Last year they were fully paid for. No. Well, who did we get? We got a big contribution last year, I think from Ingman Bergman. Oh, was it 2?
I think it's off. Put it up like this. That button right on top.
John, do you know about 2 years ago?
2 years ago was Edinburgh.
So right now, we have $5,000 in sponsorships for the fireworks extravaganza, specifically for the fireworks, and $2,500 of that would be coming from South Mount Sinai, and pending a contract with Long Beach Nursing and Rehab Center for another $2,500.
Who is that?
Long Beach Nursing and Rehab Center.
Okay. And I guess, Rich, you might know, what does this cost us in overtime and police and stuff like that? I know that's quite a bit of...
John, you have that?
I know that traffic in itself is a nightmare.
I don't have those figures with me right now, but yes, it does cost us overtime.
It what?
It does cost us overtime. I don't have these figures from last year on me right now.
Any idea? I mean, are we talking another 40,000?
No. No.
20? Yeah.
20,000? No.
Yeah.
For one day? No. It would cost us more when we had the band, but when it's just a fireworks night, it's a lot. It's been a lot less. We've had a lot of savings since then.
Okay.
The contract doesn't specify the length of the show or the types of fireworks that will be used. So we're paying $44,000 with no, can we get 5 minutes of sparklers and that's the 44,000?
It's approximately a 14-minute show, and in their proposal, it absolutely delineates every kind of bomb that blows up in the sky.
What delineates it?
The proposal that they have provided us.
Okay, but it's just not included in the contract. The contract adheres them to the proposal.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
What's before you is probably, or what you saw was probably the last 2 pages of the larger packet that we have.
Yeah, it wasn't included.
Okay.
So that's why I was asking. It doesn't specify the length of the show or anything in the contract.
We could get that out too, because I know it specifies how many of each size mortar.
That's fine. As long as I just wanted to make sure we were guaranteed that we were getting $44,000 worth of a show.
Yeah,
What if it rains or something? Do they have a makeup?
We can reschedule.
Yeah.
We're allowed to reschedule.
Rain date is the following day, so this is scheduled for Friday. Rain day would be the Saturday.
Okay.
And we did go back and forth. This will roughly, well, it will precisely mirror the show that was last year. He had an increase in barge costs and some other natural increase in costs. So last year was $40,000. This year it's $44,000, but it'll be the same show.
All right, and I guess just a quick question for Dennis. In the contract, it says any dispute resolution would take place in Pennsylvania. Is that normal, since it's contracts with us? Shouldn't it be in New York?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the preference would be that, it get done here, but there are certain contracts and certain agreements where we'll agree to litigate in the forum where they're from. But, we try to avoid that if we can.
Okay. All right, thank you. Oh, one more. The contract also requires to give them all kinds of, anytime we advertise this, we have to promote the fireworks company, which is, I don't think I've seen that one before. Why are we doing that? Why do we have to hype the?
Who's the fireworks? What's the big one, Gucci?
No,
Yeah,
it's
Gucci won't
Star
put in it.
something. I think you got one.
Starfire Corporation.
It's called Starfire Corporation.
Where are they based out of?
Pennsylvania, I believe.
St. Benedict, Pennsylvania.
But it says, let me find it.
John, in the past administration, who did you guys use? Do you remember?
It varies each year depending who responds to the proposal.
Who are the people on Long Island? Is it Grucci?
Well, Grucci's the big one on Long Island. There's another one too, though. I don't remember the name of them.
So, Dan, did you check with the ones on Long Island too? Did you guys check with the guys on Long Island? The ones.
We did. John, you could say the details.
For the price point that we're at, there's a very limited pool of providers that would work with us. Grucci for $40,000, $50,000. Grucci's.
We're probably small
They're
fish
going to
for
Macy's.
them.
Correct.
We're probably real small
they're going to
fish for them. But here, in the contract, it says the
hunt them
customer shall give the company program credit as the sole fireworks supplier, and producer in all press releases, marketing, literature, online advertising, and any program announcements, printed or otherwise.
Well, I will say, John, at most fireworks shows I do see, you know what company's given them, at least the ones
Have you?
This fireworks show, the Garucci family is doing it.
Yeah, but not
and
on
obviously
everything.
that helps with
It's not-
I think it helps with the cost, too, to be honest.
Well, did we do that last year? I don't recall us doing
I
that.
don't know for certain, but my recollection is that their name is actually listed on the flyer or the banner that we put out. But I don't hold me to that.
I'm
I'll have
just
to double
wondering
check.
why we're required to give them free advertising.
Are we getting any discount in return for doing that?
No, it's just baked into the
Got it.
contract. I mean, I will tell you relative to the other companies that we talked about, we're for the dollar, we're
Best
getting
bang
a
for
hell
the
of a
buck,
show.
no pun
100%.
intended.
Right, if they're cheaper, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
Question from the public. Okay, we'll close that.
Okay, item 8 is a resolution authorizing the city manager and the city controller to transfer funds within the 23-24 budget.
Okay. This resolution allows for the city comptroller to transfer funds exceeding $1,500 within the remaining 2023-24 budget lines, as long as these are available and are in keeping with the charter. I have shared with the council a memo to share that we will be sharing, the comptroller's office will be sharing with all department heads regarding their need to remain within budget. So this will not just be an unmonitored action, but it will be scrutinized by the comptroller before any approval is given to any of the departments.
Question from the council.
I guess I'm just going to say, this comes up every year. Every year I say the same thing. I feel this is the city council approving this is an abdication of the city council's financial oversight responsibility. Granted, we have good staff, but one of the major criticisms in the district attorney's report for the payout scandal was the city council not doing, at that time, proper financial oversight. And proper financial oversight is reviewing money that needs to be transferred around. Because I will say it's been abused in the past. So
I agree with you, John, that this is the major concern of any city council. This is what you get paid to do.
Right.
And on the other hand, as you also said, it expedites and sort of delegates some of that authority to the people that you trust to do it. And when that trust breaks down, then we have problems, as we've seen in the past. But as we've also known, previous councils have passed this as well. So, any other comments?
And I believe it was
on the
passed.
council?
I believe it was passed unanimously last year.
Right. Question from the public. Okay, close that.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase desktop computers for various city departments from the New York State Office of General Services.
This item is to purchase replacement desktop computers that are outdated from a New York State Office of General Services contract. I believe there are 37 computers being replaced in various departments, the age of which I believe I sent out to the city council members, as well as a description from the IT office about their the need for replacement.
Question from the council.
Yeah, Dan, I did notice what you sent out, and it seems that Jamie was making these decisions.
Jamie, as well as Al, as well as the rest of the group, I guess, is a group for the IT group. They basically went through the list of computers, saw what the performance metrics were for the computers and the computing power of each of them, and suggested that they be replaced based on their ability to perform certain functions and run certain programs.
But basically, don't some of the computers, I mean, if there's a computer being used by an engineer, it's a lot different than a computer being used by a word processor. I didn't see that was taken into account.
I believe that the information sent out said most of the ones that were old could not run beyond Microsoft, I forget, was it 2010?
Yeah.
I think it was 2010.
Plus, you also have the warranty and parts issue for when the machines start to get over 5 years, you can't get the parts for them anymore.
No, but
They're not supported generally usually by the manufacturer after about that time is when
but
you
if
usually
they're
can't get.
running, if they're running, there's no reason to get parts or support.
Machines need support, and
Machines, not if they're
Yeah.
running. I have
Yeah,
a
but
lot
they
of
don't always-
computers in my office.
Yeah.
And if they're running, they don't need support.
But isn't the issue the operating system?
Yeah,
It's the operating system, and I think, unless we have spares in waiting for them, if they break down, we lose services from that point forward with that, wherever that computer's being used.
We have no spare computers?
I don't know the number, I could check on that. But I think they,
What do we do with the computers? I mean, we throw them out? If a computer's still good, and just because it's aged out, we throw them out?
No, they go out for auction.
People buy these computers so they're worth something.
Yeah, they go out, any of the old computers, we remove the drives and we put them out for auction.
Okay.
One question. What is the average price of the new computers from the state list?
I believe they're about $1,000 each, because I think the total's $37,923 for 37 desktops, so it's about $1,000 each.
And do you know the specs? Are they like, what size the monitors are and how many gigs?
I can get you the specs. They may be, I think they're in the package that was sent out, but I could get that to you again.
Okay.
They're all Dells.
And if I can add, we buy off of what's called the aggregate buy with Dell, which means it's a pooled thing with the rest of the state. So we use the buying power of the rest of the state of all the other municipalities of the state to get the better pricing and the volume pricing.
And just to maybe give you some additional information, because I expected Roy was going to ask, and I'm disappointed he didn't. I went and looked. The normal price for these computers, just the computer and no monitor, is $1,039. So we're getting 37 computers and monitors.
Do we know what size the monitors?
What size monitors?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's in the
I guess
backup.
regardless, it's a good deal. It's
Yeah, it's
$1,000
regardless.
just for the tower.
22?
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Right.
deal.
So basically, we're getting the monitors for free as compared to buying at retail.
27 inches.
How many?
27 inches.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Monitors.
That's a huge monitor.
Dell 27.
All right.
Deal.
Yeah, the monitors seem to get cheaper every time.
Good, John?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going to.
Question from the public? Okay, we'll close that.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with the Long Island Railroad Company for placement of a temporary mobile facility.
As mentioned, this is to provide Long Island Railroad a temporary mobile facility over by their, it's a work turnout shed on the west side of the railroad tracks over by the bus station. They need to renovate that facility, and they need a temporary trailer for their people to turn out of, and then they will return that space to us after their construction is complete. I believe they said it could be a while. They expect between 4 and 5 years for this project. It is out of the way. It's over by the last bay of the bus depot, and it's off the sidewalk, so there should still be access for everybody to walk past it.
Comments from the council?
I have a question. Are they obviously paying us?
They are not. They have offered to pay minimal, but we chose to work with them to get more ability for them to do more flagging over on the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Project, for them to work on that. We can probably go back and get some services for them, but I also, just to make everybody aware, we're taking the west side of the taxi stand, which is going back to MTA to put in a police turnout station for them. And what I didn't want was them to turn around and charge us for that taxi stand, so it was almost, we'll give you this for free, remember it, and you make sure that you're not charging
So
us for
the taxi stand where the cars are parked there now will be a police turnout for
So
MTA?
the taxi station, well, not station, where they have that trailer itself will become a turnout station for the MTA police. They've already asked for it for June 1st. They don't think they'll be in there close to June 1st, but they are asking for it for June 1st. They want their facility back because that is an MTA original facility. We have asked for the west side of that, which when you're looking at the facility, at the trailer, there's two doors. The one to the left is a small area that we want to use to sell beach passes out of. So in this situation, I did think it was more prudent to try to trade off giving them free trailer space and then them not turn around, try to charge us for our trailer space.
Maybe we should look into that, like cap a certain amount of time if they think it's going to be a while. No offense, because I know your previous life was the MTA,
Yeah, no.
but sometimes that 3 years is 10 years.
Fair.
And Dan, is there any way with the MTA police being there, will there be proper signage? Because obviously there are a lot of complaints about, safety at the train station, and we know that is an MTA property. So I think it could be a win-win if we put additional signage. And what can the MTA police do for us? Let me just ask it frankly like that.
So I think there's a lot of benefits to having MTA police there. Obviously, it will free up some of our own police time. We spend a lot of time in that station, servicing that area. If you want, I can have Rich speak more to that. But having MTA police there as a permanent presence would only be good for the city and give us more police presence at the station.
Can we make that part of the deal, though?
As far as?
As them committing to a certain amount of time that an MTA police officer would be there?
Would be on site. We could ask them to do that.
Okay.
I haven't asked them yet, but that they still aren't going to be in the station for quite a while. They said June, but there's no chance of
Got it.
Yeah. Rich, do you want to talk about how much time your police currently spend at that site at the train station?
I think you have to turn it on. Yeah.
The top.
We do spend a considerable amount of time at the train station. Our officers check the facility at least six times a day, and we're often called to it more often than that. Any help from the MTA police would be great. We would appreciate it, and it is their facility. We're more than welcome. We're more than willing to help them police that facility and help them with it, but and we're also more than willing to accept the help that they provide.
Do we have an agreement in place with them that we get that piece of the old taxi stand?
No, currently we are, I forget the word for it, the master lessee or whatever of it.
Yes, I think there's an old agreement between the MTA and the taxi company, right?
From 1999.
Right, and then it was assigned to the city. But there's some questions, so we're working with the MTA to try to get some of the past paperwork
So
on it.
why would we give the MTA free real estate to put a trailer, considering they held up the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Project for a long time because they were miserable to deal with? Why would we give them this if we're not getting anything in return?
So when I first started talking to them about the trailer, it was also around the time that they were giving us a difficult time in the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Project. I believe, Joe, the next day after we had the discussion, they gave us permission to do the horizontal drilling underneath the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Project. So we were able to get something out of it because at that time we weren't getting anything from them, and there was no rush to move it, but they did move it the next day.
That was probably more you than this. So, because
Could
you
ask them,
ties
huh?
it.
I
guess I'm just
I don't think it'll
trying to
hurt.
figure out-
I don't think it'll hurt to ask them.
I think
I don't understand why we would give them this without knowing we're getting something in exchange.
So they did give us that they have since, when we called them on the removal of the plantings out in front, they reacted to that. They do have $20 million in their capital plan to upgrade the train station. Problem with that is it's not even in preliminary design yet. That's years away. I'm trying to get them to speed that up. And I am also talking to them about the possibilities of watching more closely their flagging costs for our project because, MTA, has certain restrictions that they work under, and I want to make sure that our bills are as low as possible. And they have been working with us consistently throughout. I just thought this was a goodwill gesture to help continue that good working relationship with them. But we can go either way. The amount of rent that we would get out of it would be minimal. I would say, I don't know what they were talking at one time, but I believe it was like $300 a month.
Yeah, I don't think it's
And I don't
the
think it's a
issue
lot.
of the rent,
Yeah.
but I think the knowing we would get let's say that piece of the taxi stand is an appropriate quid pro quo, but we seem to be giving them this with nothing in return.
So we are getting the taxi stand for this season at a minimum, and we have talked about the balance of it. We feel that they won't need it. It's a separate entrance, separate locks. We're separating it right now from the taxi stand. We've been doing a little bit of work in there so that we could utilize it now, and it will be a continued conversation to make sure that we get that property. And
Right, I'm
maybe-
saying, yeah, but we don't have it. I'm saying that the discussions are ongoing, but we don't have it yet.
So I haven't signed the agreement, but maybe I'll ask if they could add that line in that we get that.
I think we're all saying the same thing. I think John's saying what I was saying before. In other words, yeah, we're all about you going into an agreement, but let's make sure we get as much as we could out of it. Is that right?
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
The habits of the city of giving stuff away for free is like,
So what if they say, we don't want to do that?
we tell them to take a walk.
Okay. I don't know if we want to give up, I won't call it free policing, but certainly some policing that would be helpful to what we need. Police presence in that area is always
But they
needed.
still got to have an obligation to police. They're just not going to have a post. They still have to have cars there.
Right, but their obligations are not,
Right.
So
They would lose the post, is what I'm saying.
No, they
if-
wouldn't. The taxi stand is theirs.
Oh, okay, right.
Right.
So what we get in return, right?
Talking about the
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
agree.
just think we
it's-
should get as much, we should get something in return if they're a trailer, and listen, we all know how the MTA works. They say 3 years, it's going to be there for 6. And let's
It's
put,
a 5-year contract.
Well, the agreement's for 5 with
Right.
2 one-year extensions.
right.
So it's 7
So we
years.
should have escalations and everything else in there.
If this is a symbiotic relationship where we get policing and it keeps everyone safer, and we can somehow negotiate something out of it, then it's a good deal.
Yeah.
But if they say no, I still think that perhaps getting the policing and having the presence there is something that would be helpful to the city.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's disputing that, but the difference is signed contract versus wishful thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Totally understood.
Yeah, I agree.
Understood. I mean, I'll say that they've been working very well with us recently, but
Because we
I
have
get your-
something they want now.
Yeah, right.
Let's use that to our advantage, something we haven't done in the
Hope
past.
they're not
I hear.
watching.
Yeah, they're probably watching.
Question from the public. I'll bet you'll welcome this, right?
Well,
No?
James, it's not no. It's just whenever sometimes we're looking at different issues that may be going on. If there's any statistical data as far as needing more and more police in that area, as opposed to needing more and more services to deal with the issues that some of the people that hang out at the train station deal with, maybe homelessness, maybe mental illness, things like that. And sometimes we want police officers to be everything to everybody. We want them to be the counselors, the teachers, the preachers. We want them to be everybody. And so sometimes, I just think that we throw police after everything. And then sometimes, just like we ride around Nassau County, we see those booths, right, where police supposed to be in. They stop there every once in a while. Is this something that officers will be at on a consistent basis, like it's Penn Station or something like that? Or is it just another place that if this taxi company, right, they've been there for many years, if we're receiving some income from it, is it something where another company or whatever can come in? I don't know. I mean, I've never had a problem with that taxi company, but I don't know why the city may be doing this. Obviously, the city manager, he do his due diligence and look through it and see what, and tries to barter a little bit and say we give and take, and the Long Island River and that critical infrastructure. I must say, it's not just because you know, it was a lot of the work, and Joe is right here, and we must give Crystal Lake and myself and others that was working with the governor's office and many others to push that forward. I know it took 7 years, but I know when we got on it and when we started calling and sending emails, a lot of things started moving, and the city attorneys had to do things, and the Long Island Railroad attorneys had to do things, but I must say, Crystal was very instrumental in getting a lot of stuff moved on multiple, about 20 people were CC'd on a lot of those emails, and so, you know, I thank Crystal for that. But again, can the city either move someone else in there or continue getting rent, and will this be, they come whenever they want? It's just another booth, and we're taking opportunity for the city to be getting income in. That's a question.
I'm not sure what their action plan is. I believe it will be a turnout station, but whether there'll be a permanent person assigned to that station, I'm not positive yet, but I could check on that.
Okay, because to me, again, I reiterate, with taxes going up, whether it's 1% to any cent is too much cents. We already up dollars, so cents is too much. So, if possible, that they're just going to come in every once in a while like they do already when they come on the train or they drive there. It got to really be that the city is getting more for it. And I know that you're looking into it and you're doing different things. They did this, so you do this. But we got to get more. And just having more police without having the services to help the people, you know, it's just throwing police officers to run people down the street and all of that. Safety is urgent, but again, let's get the right services. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing. Right?
Any other questions?
Hello, John Brown, West Broadway. Just wanted to follow up on Mr. Creighton's comment about the $20 million that the MTA is committing to the Long Beach train station. What exactly would that entail, and what's the time frame? I mean, the station itself, I commute into the city 5 days a week. It's a dump. It's really a dump, and it's one of the busiest stations on the Long Island Railroad. I think it's the 7th busiest station, and it's been neglected for decades, and they do absolutely nothing about it. You know, that bridge itself, too, is like, I don't know how old that thing is, but I mean, that thing's also like, why aren't we replacing that?
You should have seen the old one.
But, you know, I'm just kind of curious, because also when people visit Long Beach, too, I have friends that come out from the city all the time in the summer, and their comment is like, oh, wow, like your first, kind of like your leadoff pitch here is like, you know, guys drinking tall boys in the area there. You got just like, you know, kind of vagrants around. And then you come out and it's just kind of like, and just like a dump. And just trying to understand like what the MTA is looking to do long term.
So their plan is not developed yet. Like I said, it's not even in preliminary design yet. So they have $20 million in their capital plan, but it has not been designed or ready for any sort of construction. So they would have to go through a design process first, a preliminary design to give a concept. Then they'd have to go to design, then it would go to construction. So that's why I was saying it was years away. I would say that, you know, we would be actively involved with them to make sure that, you know, what it looks like is something that we as a city can live with. But, you know, we want to make sure that the canopies are done, the steel's done. If the platforms need to be redone, they'd be redone, and as well as the exterior face of the building be cleaned up quite a bit, so it looks like a place that people want to come and visit. So,
cool. Yeah, I mean, it might be more than 20 million, but
it might be. But that's what they have.
Especially if it's the MTA.
Especially MTA
it's good,
project.
good to see it in the budget at all. So it's a good sign.
Thank you. Any other questions? We'll close that.
Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the refurbishment of the cooling tower at City Hall under a Sourcewell contract.
So this item is for cooling tower refurbishment through a Sourcewell contract. It will take about 6 weeks to procure the items and 2 weeks to install it. That leads us in a little bit of a predicament in that we have to hope for either cool weather in what will likely be July, or we'll have to put it off till the fall. But this is maintenance that's required for the cooling towers. I have Joe here if you have any questions, but this work will likely, at this point, be pushed off to probably fall.
Is the cooling tower functional at this
It's
point?
functional.
So it can be
yeah,
pushed off?
It can be done, but there are pieces of the equipment that need to be replaced.
Right.
Joe has the details on those.
From
but
the way I feel right now, I don't think the cooling tower is working too well.
Well, I'm just saying for the purposes of employee comfort, shutting down the air conditioning in the summer for 2 weeks
would be
is
a
not
little much.
practical. Just a quick question. In the resolution, in the third whereas clause, it says carrier quoted a lower price for the project. A lower price than who?
I have a quick narrative, if you don't mind, that I prepared just for this because, I talked to our maintenance personnel to get the scoop on it. So if I'm repetitive, bear with me. This resolution authorizes the city manager to retain carrier commercial service to refurbish the city hall cooling tower under Sourcewell contract for a cost of $55,400. The work's going to include new fill media, new louvers, new drift eliminators, and of course removal and disposal of all those things as well. Just a little background, over time, due to high velocity of water through the cooling tower, the fill media becomes damaged and worn, the louvers get rips and tears in them, and the fill gets large holes greater than 3 inches. When water passes through these sections with big holes in the fill, the tower is unable to remove the heat from the water passing through it, and warm water gets sent back to the chiller. So basically what the cooling tower does is remove heat from the water. So what happens is going back to the chiller, it's not removing the heat, so it's going back to the chiller. Warm water is going back to the chiller. So therefore it's not working efficiently. So the warranty, just so you know too, on this repair is 90 days. That's for Councilman Lester. And again, just to Dan's point, the lead time is about 5 to 6 weeks for the parts for this, and it's a 2-week install. So to Dan's point as well, it's working, but it's not working efficiently. So if it comes down to it, like say we get the parts in the first week of June, we'll have to shut down the system for 2 weeks and do the work, and we'll have it for the summer, working efficient, working normal. But if say it comes and the parts come in July, it'll still be functioning, it's just not going to be working efficiently. We'll hold off on the work till after Labor Day. I'm not sure what you were referring to in that clause.
Yeah, the third whereas clause says carrier corporation's got their address, the awarded vendor through Sourcewell quoted a lower price for the project. And I'm not...
I think it's the...
Was there an RFP that went out?
No, there was nothing. This was just they're on Sourcewell contract. That's the only quote they got. Well, they don't have to get more than one
Is
quote.
lower maybe supposed to be lowest?
I think it's lowest.
All right, that would make sense.
I think
then.
that's
All
a
right.
mistake,
I'm
yeah.
just trying to, okay.
Yeah, because you would only have to get...
If there were 2 bidders, then...
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Right, no, that's not the case. You
But
would only
that's
get
not
one
how Sourcewell works.
proposal for Sourcewell.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's it.
All right, it's probably supposed to be lowest.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So that's just a little more detailed background from our staff about the problem. Okay. Any questions?
Question from the public? Okay.
One last question.
Sure.
Is there any possibility of a service contract on this? I know
We perform, Danny O'Brien in our maintenance department, he's fantastic. He performs all the general maintenance on the unit. This is just one project or where the scope of work is just beyond, our ability. It really has to be done by carrier, in this case. So we actually generally do all the maintenance.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Question from the public? Okay, close it.
Okay. Item 12 has been taken off the calendar. Item 13 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the painting of the ice arena with the lowest responsible bidder.
So this is a good news story. I'll leave Joe up here for it. But this item's for painting of the ice arena. If you remember, we had this before us. It was a rebid of a sole source that we received, the only bid that we received was $184,000. We're not comfortable with going with just one bidder on it. It was rebid. I believe, Joe, there were four bidders?
There was three bidders.
Three bidders, and the guy, UNIBH, I don't know what it stands for, who's doing the bathrooms right now at the rec center, bid this and bid at $80,000. So we saved over $100,000 on this rebid. We think this is a good price and suggest approval. Joe's here.
That's it, spot on, yes.
I guess I've asked this question a couple of times on this before. Still haven't.
What are they going to do?
Got the well. Besides that, no. The ice arena hasn't been painted in many years. That paint is really old. So I had asked previously if we've done any testing to see if there's any lead paint in there.
Just actually, after that comment that you made, we did have it tested, and it's not lead.
Great.
We had it tested.
Great news.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I should have gotten that back too.
Okay. And this isn't specifically related to this resolution, but just something to think about is after it's painted, the possibility of maybe having some of our local artists go in and do some artwork for the hockey or something on the walls.
Yeah, we could certainly discuss that. I mean, right now
It's separate from this.
They
It's got nothing to do
started
with
the
this.
bathroom renovation, but it is the time to do it because I think Joe says
Yeah.
it's through. You have a small
Yeah,
window.
because they've done some great murals over by
Sure.
the by the
This would be the
basketball
time,
and
though, in
stuff
the next
like
couple of
that.
months.
Right, and hang some banners.
Sponsorships.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Dress it up a little.
Yeah. And Joe, it's still June, right?
Yeah, no, we're in good shape because
Yeah.
it happens to be the contractor that's actually doing the bathroom renovation, and he
Right.
started work there, so he's working there. That's why he bid on it, actually, because he was aware that it was out. He does that type of work, so it was a no-brainer for him
That's
to bid
great.
on it, and I
Yeah.
think that's why we got a great price.
Great.
Question from the public. All right, we'll close that. Thank you, Joe.
Okay, item 14 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding the Personnel Code. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held on May 21st at 7 p.m. Item 15 is approval of minutes, prior meeting, April 16th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
We need to amend the minutes.
Is this including the corrections I sent out today?
Yes.
Okay.
On page 7 of the minutes, at the very top, it says Councilmember Reinhardt introduced and moved the adoption of following resolution, seconded by Mr. Fiumara, was duly adopted by all 5 council members voting in the affirmative. Actually, Councilmember Lester and I voted no on that.
Which item is that?
Appointing the Board of Ethics member.
Okay, that's probably just a cut and paste error. I will correct that. Is that the only issue?
That's it.
Okay. Do I have a motion with the aforementioned corrections?
So moved as amended.
Second? Second. Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Okay, on to the voting. There we go. Okay. So item 1 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Appendix A zoning. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
Who got that?
Flip a coin.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester. Yes. Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 2 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
I don't like the idea of not having something in the resolution as to the actual hours. I also don't like the idea that we are basically increasing the hours that we're going to be charging people, especially when we're talking about 8 o'clock on. I'm sorry. Much better, especially when we're talking about 8 o'clock on weekends where a lot of local people want to just walk on the beach. They have no intentions of staying there, and to be charged for that when we, in the past, never charged people to go down that early is not something I'm in favor of. Vote no.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
I would just say that, you know, we're operating what should be our biggest revenue generator, which is, and we're running at $1 million deficit. Some things need to be changed, and hopefully most of the people that are walking on the beach that early, because we realize we are changing it to 8, will already have a seasonal pass. So I'm voting yes.
Vice President Fiamara.
Yeah, I agree with everybody here because everybody has a valid point on this. I think really the time, in my mind, not much is going to change besides safety until we get an actual POS system that can really capture sales and monitor who actually paid to go on the beach. But for the safety part of it, I'm going to vote yes.
President Finn.
I vote yes.
Okay, item 3 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding water and water distribution. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
I'll second it.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
The idea that we are increasing water by 25% is basically, it's coming out of the pocket of the taxpayers. It's about $1.115 million more dollars out of the pocket of the taxpayers, and which is equivalent to a tax rate increase of 1.8, which is a lot. I don't really see the need for it, and the idea, well, we're taking the money, you know, we're decreasing the sewer. The reason we can decrease the sewer is because we have our money already in there as a fund balance. So, you know, and within the next few years, the sewer thing will go away, and we're going to have to be paying Nassau County, but the rate increase on the water will be permanent. I vote no.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Thank you. As Zena described, we used about $1 million from the fund balance last year on this. We are going to offset it with the sewer rates, so the taxpayers will not feel that crunch for the water bill as much as it could have been. I vote yes.
Vice President Fiamara.
Yeah, I mean, same thing that was explained to the room earlier. There's no pathway with this. As we know, from what Joe explained, we're behind on the water meters, which was talked about earlier in anticipated budgets. Sometimes we had tripped up in that, which, you know, nobody could really prepare for. But since we don't have those in place yet, and yeah, it's 25, but we're lower in the sewer, the same amount, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, it's not really anything. And there's no other choice. Last year, I believe the choice was take money out of the fund, which this year, it wouldn't even cover the plug. So I guess we have to do it. I vote yes.
President Finn.
If I have the calculations right, it would be a 3.25% increase overall, which I'm not happy about either. But I don't want to use gimmicks because they could come back and haunt you. And as everyone's talked about, the fund with the $1 million. So I vote in favor of it.
Item 4 is a local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding sewer rents. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yeah, items 3 and 4 go together. You can't do one without the other, so to do the offset, so I vote yes.
Councilmember Lester.
I disagree with you on that, John. You can definitely lower the sewer rate because we have the money there. We have the fund balance put aside, so we can definitely lower the sewer rate without raising the water rate. So I will vote yes to lower the sewer rate.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamara.
I mean, like John said, 3 and 4 go together, and as our city controller has told us multiple times, there is no money there. So yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution confirming the appointment of a corporation counsel. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I do.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
So, look, as I said earlier, elections have consequences. There's a new majority. they are entitled to put their people in place. And this is not the first time they're doing this. This is just the first time we've had to vote on a position that has to be voted on. So, so look, I mean, especially for me, the issue was how this was done. Those of you that have attended city council meetings long-term may remember previous councils and city managers and acting city managers that withheld information, didn't share information, didn't answer questions. And I remember how the city was run during those times and the damage that was done. And I don't want us to go back to that. And I have a little bit of a fear that we're migrating in that direction. Look, I don't know Mr. DeCranis, and clearly, as you've heard, I wasn't afforded the opportunity to speak with him or see his resume. I am told he is a man of great integrity, and with his appointment being a foregone conclusion, all I can do is wish him luck and hope he does the job well. But there's also an old saying, those who forget the past are doomed to relive it. And I haven't forgotten the past because I worked long and hard to repair the damage that was done by councils that used to, and city leadership that used to run that way. So while Mr. DeCranis may be qualified for the position, I just can't support a return to a party-run patronage system that caused so much damage to the city in the past. So for that reason, I have to vote no.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes, I think everyone knows I'm the only attorney up here. And, you know, this kind of is my area of expertise. I find Mr. Cohen has been good for Long Beach. Granted, he and I don't always agree on things, and I can understand that. But if you look at his resume, he was the top attorney for Suffolk County, huge county. Okay, he was a former judge, district court judge, not just a city judge, a district court judge. He seems to know his way around the courts and know his way around negotiations and stuff pretty well. I know Frank DeCranis. I've known him for years. We both belong to Long Beach Lawyers. The fact that I was not even given the courtesy of looking at a resume, to me, is unbelievable. But I'm hoping he does really well. He is a nice guy. There's no question about it. I think for the city of Long Beach, I think Dennis is a better fit because there's no doing favors for anybody or anything like that for him. He's not a local. But the criteria here was clear. Frank is a local. So I'm, you know, like Finn says, elections have consequences. I will vote no on this, though.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
I would just say I take exception to the comments about sliding back to what past city councils have done. To be honest, that's one of the reasons I ran, because of seemingly, outwardly, covertly bad goings-on with the city council. So I do take exception to that. I think everybody up here is honest and diligent, and they're going to do their job to the best of their abilities and to protect the taxpayers. I vote yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
I take umbrage that people would question my integrity. Long Beach is a place where political patronage has been more than just a sport, it was a way of life. And I ran for city council to do away with that. And I'm hoping to do away with that. I'm hoping to do away with the corruption that we've seen over the years. I never accused the previous council of any corruption, and I'm still not doing that. By the same token, they use political patronage just like everybody else. So to say that political patronage is the problem, I don't think so. I think Dennis Cohen is also a man of integrity. He's done a very good job here. I think he's a good man as well. Of course, I'm voting yes for Frank DeCranis. He was the judge here, highly respected. I think he'll be a great counsel for all 5 of us if people are willing to take his counsel and his advice. So yes, of course, I'm voting yes because I think he will bring good things to this city as he did as a judge.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a charitable donation. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for fireworks display to celebrate the 4th of July. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
A second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
We asked about this, you know, and Rich, you said it's going to cost us overtime. It's going to cost us, you know, police. We don't know a number on that, but it's, you know, my experience has been that those things can run up a lot of money. And we only have $5,000 in donations for a 14-minute show. And probably nobody loves fireworks more than me. I have never missed a fireworks show that I can.
I got you beat on that.
Yeah. Never missed a fireworks show, but from looking at, and you've heard it so many times here tonight, how much we need money and how we have to look to cut and how we have to look to try to save money. And I just can't justify spending what probably is going to come to over $50,000 for this 14 minutes. Even though I'm going to really miss it, I'm going to vote no.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
I'm going to vote yes. This is a quality of life. This has become a big day in Long Beach. Long Beach has events. The kids look forward to this event, and I would love to, yes, of course, when you have to justify to pay overtime, but we also need to do a study, and I think maybe this year would be a good time to do a study. We're also generating revenue. Those bars and restaurants are packed every fireworks show. And yes, there is a lot of traffic, and there's a lot of traffic because people are coming into Long Beach, and that's what we want. We want people to come to Long Beach. We want them to spend their money here. Did I say yes yet?
Yeah, you said yes.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
I couldn't agree with Mike more. I mean, I'm American. I'm on a fireworks show for a place we pay an exuberant amount of taxes. I think what we majorly miss the mark on always here is living in, we have no money, but never looking at how to create revenue and money. That many people come into town supports a lot of these local businesses that support a lot of people and families in this room, teachers, students, donations, charitable events, so on and so forth, the local cab service to the Uber driver, to the restaurant, to the hotels. No is not even my vocabulary on this one. I'm voting yes.
President Finn.
I remember the days when the barge would come down the ocean and set up in front of National, and everybody would run up every boulevard to be on the boardwalk to watch the fireworks. Independence Day is the most important day in America. I wish we were doing our fireworks on the 4th of July. I think we should. But I'm still voting yes because this is important for everybody in this town. And it's important to celebrate American history.
Item A is a resolution authorizing the city manager and the city controller to transfer funds within the 23-24 budget. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I do.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
So I just want to address something the city manager said, where he said last year this was passed unanimously. You're right, it was, because we had a commitment from the acting city manager to give us weekly reports of all the transfers that took place, so we could monitor it, since that's not necessarily in place this time.
And it was limited to a 2-month period.
Yeah,
That was it.
so I'm gonna vote no.
Councilmember Lester.
And, you know, we did vote for it last year, but like I said, it was limited from April 19th to June 20th, and it was weekly reports, and all the reports had to be in by August 31st. With those, if we had amended it to that as it was last year, I wouldn't have a problem, but I'm going to vote no, too.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamara.
So, my first year here, obviously, John, you said something earlier about, you know, what you say every year about this, and what functions of accountability have you put in the past to ensure that it's done right? Like, in other words, a function we can use now to make sure that we're not putting ourselves out. What was
Yeah, I mean, what we did last year, what's supposed to happen, and we still working out some bugs with that. The council's supposed to get cash flow reports
right
every month, so we can monitor this. That they don't always come regularly, so there's room for improvement. But this is, like I said, for me, the way it's worded, it's a little open-ended, because it just allows transfers to take place without council oversight. And
is that report something we can request from you?
I think it's the second result says that this is this exactly same resolution as was adopted last year. Can you not hear me? I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah, sorry. So there is a second resolve that reads that the city council shall be furnished with a report of all transfers made by August 31st, 2024. We provided them weekly last year. We're going to provide them weekly this year. If you want to change the result, I guess our city clerk can.
We're already in the middle of a motion.
yeah, I don't think we can amend it now in the middle of.
We've already passed that point.
But that's basically, that's what I intend to do.
But you're doing the same thing as last year?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
I vote yes.
Okay. Well, I guess we can't change our vote at this point, right?
Yeah, I don't want to change it all. It'll go through anyway, we're fine.
Okay.
I agree with John about it before, on both sides of that. Thank you. I believe that you trust you hire the people that you trust, and you trust the people that you hire, and as you know, I have the confidence in Dan and in Ina, and they're trustworthy. They're doing the right thing. They're doing a great job for the city. So I'm voting yes. I was voting yes without that clause, but it's in there. So yes, again.
Okay, item 9 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase desktop computers for various cities' departments off of New York State Office of General Services contract. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamara.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with the Long Island Railroad Company for placement of a temporary mobile facility. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
I'll second it.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Jeez, this one's a little too open-ended for my comfort. I feel like we should be getting something for this, and we may, but the fact that we may not also is going to push me towards a no on this.
Councilmember Lester.
I didn't even know the city could give things away for free. The idea that we're putting in a 8 by 32 foot trailer on our property and not getting any money for it, and what we might get is a little piece of a corner of a building to sell beach passes, you know, a couple months a year, to me is just, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. And again, I'm going back to the finances, and, you know, we just can't keep giving things away. I vote no.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
It's not just the corner to sell beach passes. I think throughout the negotiation, I think having the MTA police booth is really going to benefit our residents and our commuters. I vote yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Although I agree with John and Mike on this, what they both just said, I also thought we had a discussion earlier that I agree. I don't want to give anything away. I'm all about optimizing the most opportunity for business and revenue for the city. And I think that you committed, Dan, that you would ask and negotiate this. And I think what we're voting on is allowing you to go into negotiation. We're not saying, hey, this is in stone. I will vote yes under the condition that during the negotiations, we are informed of what the decisions may or may not be, so we can maximize the opportunity for the city. So I vote yes.
President Finn.
Police presence, very important to the city. And the sale of beach passes and other items may be helpful to our economy. So, yes.
Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the refurbishment of the cooling tower at City Hall under a Sourcewell contract. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 13 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the painting of the ice arena with the lowest responsible bidder. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
I would have been disappointed if he didn't make the motion for it. Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
100% yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 14 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding the Personnel Code. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
City Manager's monthly personnel report has been filed by the City Clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Okay.
Ronnie Paganini. Like the two lions outside the library, patience and fortitude.
Ron Paganini. I have something here. I contacted Mr. Finn on this about the Ari Brown response in the assembly. So I have copies here, Dave. They give it to the council. This is a correspondence that my son had emailed for me. I'm not too good with the emails and stuff. It's about the Empire Wind Farms, and he basically went onto the floor of the assembly. So this is news from our great the governor and the majority party. So this is what he said when he went up there. So I'm going to read it. It says, "Dear Mr. Pags, to answer your question," meaning about the wind farms, "it's quite simple. As the majority leader, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, and most of her colleagues on that side of the aisle said when I debated them on the floor of the assembly, the end justifies the means." Meaning, in other words, the hell with Long Island as long as New York City gets what they want, meaning the electricity. And he goes on, he says, "The hatred of suburbia in Albany politics by the majority is blatant, purposeful, and deliberate. Senator Fitzpatrick and I will continue to stand up for Long Beach and the rest of New York. Then he says, we'll beat them once, we'll do it again. Sincerely, Harry Brown. So, it's disturbing that we know now from the assemblyman that we're not liked. They don't like us. They don't like us complaining about anything, according to the wind farms. And they know it, you know, from the council and everybody who supports. We have thousands of people that don't want it. But the biggest thing that I have is that when I found that North American supergrid that was funded by the federal government, a 6-year study. There's no other study. This is an American study. There is no study. This is the study. This is the federal government funding the climate people. So for 6 years, they took God knows how much time and expert. You cannot go through infrastructure. It's too dangerous. It overheats. It's common. Any voltage. When I said to Mr. Finn, he said when the PSEG guy said they're going to run 30,000 volts, you know, here, and they said, and I told Mr. Finn that they're running 2 extra lines just in case one fails. And that's only 30,000 volts. This is, 690,000 volts. What I'm asking this council to do, and I think you should do it, it's simple. Write a letter, one to Ecuador and one to the government, to Hochul, who's ever in charge of this, you know, the wind farms, and state the North American supergrid study and what it states. This is an ace up your sleeve, and I think it's a letter. Please think about it. If they want to ignore it, they'll tell you that, wouldn't they?
Well, I think that the state is disregarding that study because you know they're aware of it. So they're disregarding it. So the point is we have to make them try to I don't know, use the word obey it, at least take it into account and say, we're disregarding it. You're right, and we're doing it.
You know, it's the letter stating whatever, and let them say, to hell with you with it.
Right.
And you know what? If it does happen, if they do come through here, and it does implode, and it does destroy things, you know what? You guys did the right thing. And we did the right thing, and they did the wrong thing, and it's on them. Could you please do that?
Yeah.
A letter?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronnie. Ira Charles.
Good morning. Ira Charles, Long Beach. With all the talk this evening about money we don't have, money that's costing the taxpayers, just want to bring up a point that's going on in town. As you know, there is now a legal cannabis dispensary operating in town, fully licensed by the state of New York and the Office of Cannabis Management, OCM. You guys know that, right?
Medical.
It's a medical dispensary.
Medical dispensary, correct. Where you're allowed to buy flower and weed now. Flower and you know, flower. You could buy
with a card.
With a card.
Yeah.
Which is as hard to get as going to Stop and Shop and getting a courtesy card. It's not too difficult to get
I'm still
a card.
trying to get my Stop and Shop card.
With that being said, let me just give you some facts. When the program was announced, when the recreational program was announced, the 10 MSOs, multi-state operators, who were keeping the medical program alive were promised licenses by the state. So what they did is they went out and all 10 multi-state operators took space in Union Square in Manhattan because that's the crossroads of transportation, has the highest foot traffic count. They all entered into leases with the ability to cancel if they didn't get the license. So they paid rent 6 to 8 months. They weren't getting the licenses. They gave them out to social equity applicants who were people convicted of marijuana crimes. One of the places that opened up under the social equity program is called the Travel Agency in Union Square. It's doing in excess of $75 million. The reason I'm giving you this number is fast forward and go out to Farmingdale. It's the Wild West in Farmingdale. You could open up within, as long as you're not within 1,000 feet, there's 2 dispensaries in Farmingdale that are going to do in excess of $75 million. That's $2.1 million. It's here. You could buy bud. You could buy flour. It's here. Why not opt in and make money for the city? It's going to be, it's moving from, what do you call it, level, it's moving from level 1 to level, not level, Schedule 1 to Schedule 3.
It's a Schedule 3 already.
Yeah, someone, whether it goes to Oceanside, it'll be delivered here, they're allowed to do that. Why not reap the money from it? It's here. Anyone could buy it, as long as you're over 18. And look, I don't smoke, I have no interest, but I will tell you this, I do work for one of the largest companies in the country, so I know a lot about it, happy to talk to you afterwards. I've opened up dispensaries, I've opened up a 180,000 square foot grow facility.
What company is it?
I do the real estate for one of the largest, just one of the largest companies out there.
Is it publicly traded?
It's publicly traded in Canada.
Okay.
I could talk to you afterwards about it.
I think from what I understood with the state marijuana law is that the zoning has changed from the state level and everybody was waiting on Babylon to see what happened.
But by the way, GTI is one of the MSOs. They didn't just open up the map of New York and throw a dart and said, let's go to Long Beach. The only thing that's puzzling about their location is they can't convert that location to recreational because it's not ground floor. But reap the money. It's here. That's all I have to say.
Take into consideration, for sure. Mike Delory, I think Mike's gone. Tim Kramer?
Hi, Tim Kramer, 361 East Broadway. Before I get to my question, I just want to mention 2 things. First of all, I really like this council, and the reason why I like this council is that everyone up here it seems to have a particular skill set. Mr. Reinhardt, you seem to have a skill set in community development. Mr. Fiumara, you have a skill set in, entrepreneurial and self-employed, owning your own business, which is critically important.
I'm still trying to figure mine.
Mr. Finn, you have a lot of experience with unions and union contracts, which is a very big deal. Mr. Bendo, you got that engineering mind. And Mr. Lester, of course, you have, a skill set in legal. Mr. Crichton, you have many feathers in your hat, and I have tremendous confidence in your abilities. The second thing I want to bring up is that many people have mentioned that, we all need to get along and, we got to stop the fighting. And I would just say that there are times we're going to be up here, we're going to make sausage, okay? This is not a social hour. This is government, and sometimes government gets ugly. And I would tell you to keep making the sausage because it shows that you care about the community and you're fighting for the community. So keep making the sausage. So my question at this point is, Mr. Bendo, were you appointed the executive director of this Long Beach Housing Authority?
I have no idea.
No, because there's a buzz going around that you were appointed to the executive director of the Long Beach Housing Authority. No?
That's news to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Jennifer Sarafin?
Jennifer Sarafin, 107 Neptune Boulevard. To lead off where Tim left, I agree you aren't always going to get along, but tonight, with how long it was kind of ridiculous. going back forth. I have respect for all of you gentlemen, and I think you're all great. Roy and John, you had done wonderful things in the last council. I agree with a lot of them. I don't agree with all of them. But every time, I do see there is definitely a tension between all you guys. And we don't need to see that every time that there's a meeting. You know, you guys definitely go back there, duke it out, figure it out, because we don't, every time there's an agenda item, we don't need to hear it, honestly, as people out here. You know, it's a long night, and you probably feel the same way. With that being said, I also will say, Mr. Cohen, I don't not dislike you. I'm sure you did a great job for them, but I do not believe that you were the best thing for this city. There were a lot of lawsuits. There were a lot of issues. We said that before. There were a lot of things that, why maybe they think that somebody who is from the city could do more for the city and have a better interest in the city. With that being said, that was where I went back to the 45 minutes before the deadline. I don't really understand what that was all about. So maybe that's why they want somebody who cares more and lives here. Anyhow, with that being said, back to the Rapid Act. We all know that that passed through the budget. Are we all aware of that? We need to really get on this governor about that. Democratic or Republican, we are all in this together. Nobody wants those cables through this town. So with that being said, she is going to try to put those cables. Equinor is coming back. We are going back to settlement on the 15th. They waited for that Rapid Act to go through, and the next day they said we're going back to settlement. So with that being said, even though there is still that motion there, they're trying to get it thrown out, need to know that even though the Rapid Act passed, as Roy said, they still cannot take our beach. They will try to tell you that they can, but remember that. They cannot take the beach without you saying that they can, without you alienating it or them doing eminent domain. Is that right, Roy? So please, no matter what Equinor comes and tells you, remember that, okay? We must stand our ground, okay?
Yeah.
That's why I'm up here. Thank you. Okay.
I just want to address something. It's funny that it's funny behind the scenes how all five of us are, and we do duke it out, and we do have differences of opinions, and there is this back and forth, and listen, there's a lot of things we agree on. I mean, probably nobody here knows this, but every Tuesday night when we leave here, we go out for drinks and eat together every single Tuesday night. Not tonight because it's 11:30, and Roy's even bought around before, believe it or not. So it's not, this narrative from the crowd. Listen, there's stuff we're going to disagree on. For the most part, we do a meeting, a Zoom call on every Wednesday before the meeting. We discuss the agenda. We talk. We email. Roy loves to email. It's not as bad as you think. I mean, for the most part, yeah, there's going to be some things we disagree on, and then there's some things that just BS politics. That's what it is, and nothing more.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. Don't take political differences or opinion differences on issues that we don't respect each other.
Yeah.
That is definitely not
We
the
fight
case.
all weekend and make up on Monday.
Thank you. And like you said, we go out together.
We ain't going to make it tonight, though. I don't want to hear any Ranger scores either. I taped it. Christina Kramer. That means you, Joe.
Hi again, Christina Kramer. So just a little refresher. Wind turbines are the most expensive, unreliable, and intermittent form of energy. We are not using coal in New York. We already have clean energy. Compare the factual statistics around the world and even in our own country from state to state. Until all of the United States are solely using natural gas, our states, New York, New Jersey, the East Coast, should not be forced to go further. There are states in the U.S. still using coal, yet New York will be forced to pay for this money-hungry, damaging industrial dystopia that is destroying our ocean. The economic fallout from paying higher utility rates are incalculable because successful societies demand affordable energy. The offshore wind companies openly admit our rates will increase 3 to 4 times the rates we pay now. That's bad enough. However, they are not including the cost of the necessary battery storage creation and maintenance. When you include this into the equation, our energy costs will rise to 10 to 12 times, and we will still require 100% baseload from fossil fuels to support our ever-growing electric needs. All while experts predict our electricity will increase eightfold. Wind turbines cannot support our energy needs. Our president and governor are forcing this down our throats with no merit and false goals that cannot be attained by damning us into poverty. Why aren't we fighting harder to keep the sovereignty of our nature intact, of our nation intact, instead of giving our crown jewel, electricity, over to foreign governments as we make other countries rich? Once a natural gas plant gets shut down, it will never be rebuilt. We are under attack, and we are applauding and helping our murderers while in New York we sit on one of the largest natural gas reserves in the entire world that would bring tremendous wealth to New York State. We must do more. We must hold our elected officials accountable for the decisions they are making on our behalves. So what we're asking you is, there's the mayor of Brigantine, which is the Atlantic Beach County, drew up this 7-page resolution that has been passed, and it includes things on it like the resolution to save the ocean industrialization, the views, the beach economic drives, the rental values, property values, raising energy costs, recreational fishing, the marine life. Anyway, this is what their city, county did for them, and we'd like you to take a look at it and see if you can draw something up, put an ordinance together, and I wrote some cliff notes for you. And the last thing I want to mention is that you know, you didn't know the city gave things away. We give jobs away all the time. And it would be unethical if our city council appointed the housing members, and then the housing members appointed a city council member to be running the housing situation. Just wanted to put that out there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
City council doesn't appoint the housing members.
I don't know. Marissa Ferrara? Steve Jackson? Mindy Dovberg? Charles Gary?
Gone.
You're like Brooks Robinson then.
He was here for the canals.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Audra Walsh?
Gone.
Eileen Hessian? Nora Egan? I knew there'd be somebody here, though. James Hodge.
Oh,
yeah.
I am here.
Do you have a drink with you?
I am here, James Hodge, and I will take this moment of silence for Adam Aston, a great man who we just did a ceremony for in honor of him, paying tribute and homage to his life. Thank all of you for your support and help that was there from around the city, our city manager, police commissioner, also our deputy city manager, just all of the departments, Joe Brand, and all of the different Long Island Crisis Center, North Park Crisis team, Ms. Odom, and all of those that contributed in any kind of way. Thank you as we paid homage as a city to his life and legacy. It lives on. Thank God that his mother and father was there, his brother, and his girlfriend of 7 years. So we thank him for all that he has done to help our great city. Just wanted to pay tribute to him and thank you. Again, very quickly, the arguing is good. It's good to argue and make good noise. That's taking some of my time. Hold on. Joe, that was Joe's song. That took 5 seconds, Joe. You owe that back. So it's good to argue and get in good trouble, as the late John Lewis would say, getting in good trouble, making good noise, arguing for what you like. It's healthy because all of you, just like Mr. Cohen, he's not upset because people know sometimes when you come into this job. Say it again. Well, you're upset about that money, but you ain't upset. You know what it is. So, but Mr. Cohen, thank you for being here as a former judge and as an attorney. And, you do have an impeccable resume. And so does Judge DeCranis, who's been a great supporter of many different organizations. And not just because he's been a supporter, but he's a legal mind also. And I would pray that no matter which side has the majority, I would always pray that they get the best for any city job. And as, Mr. Bendo, as someone did just bring up, and they said the city council appoints, but city council don't appoint the members at the housing authority. The city manager appoints a certain, and then they have an election for 2 of them.
Right, but the city council appoints the manager, though.
Well, but I'm saying, but the city doesn't appoint those members. And the city, if they're allowing the city manager to have their autonomy as being in that and not dictating to him, then the city manager will appoint who they feel is best for that position. And so what I'm saying is that the city manager appoints those to, unless now you're telling me you're going to tell him who to appoint. But my thing is that just because they appoint them, and let's just say it's the majority of that party that's in, right? It still goes back to the resume being qualified for the job. And no matter what position it is, we talk about qualifications, we talk about any job in the city, no matter what side you're on, Democrat or Republican, appointed, not appointed, do what's right. All right, again, thank you. And again, thank you for allowing us to do that.
Thank you, James.
Adam.
Sam Pinto.
Evening, everybody. Sam Pinto, Long Beach. First off, I'm speaking on behalf of Jerry Snell and my friends, the Waterfront Warriors. He was going to stay, but he ended up leaving because of the lateness in the night. Tomorrow, they're hosting a fundraiser, a Rock and Olive, from 5 to 8 for the Long Beach Waterfront Warriors. They've been around for 17 years. Every year, they host 2 trips for local military service members and their families. This year, we're going to have the service week happening from July 13th, so I'm reading off his notes, July 13th, July 19th, we're bringing in 14 warriors and 62 guests of their families to enjoy the beauty of Long Beach. So he wanted to speak on that, but he left in time because it got late, past his bedtime. So tomorrow from 5 to 8 at Rock and Olive, being hosted by Sandra Prado, the owner there. Please help spread the word for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Also, wish Mr. Cohen well. I also hope to congratulate Mr. DeCranis on his new appointment. I trust that the city has the best interest at heart. I wasn't planning on speaking on this tonight, but I think that it is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm sorry. Yep, Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're going through a lot of stuff in the city. And many people have thick skin. Many people have thicker skin than other people may realize. But people come up to the city council meetings and they think this is a public dais to say what they want. And the council should really step up when an individual, like I'm a member of the service, right? I'm in the military, I'm in the Coast Guard. There's many people out there who as with the Waterfront Warriors, working for the city almost 20 years. You have a person continuously come up to these meetings and make statements about me. And tonight he called me a terrorist. And the city council, the city manager didn't say a word. And it's on you guys to have decorum in this event. He speaks slanderous statements, he makes misstatements. I can handle it, I can deal with it. Other people, they may not be able to deal with it. And I think it's incumbent on you guys up here to make sure that people don't go up here and start speaking smut about other people out of line. So that's all it is. I'm not mad at you about it, honestly. It's fine, but just try to hold on to that. It's important. You never know what people say can impact other people. So I appreciate your time on that, and hopefully it can be corralled in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our good and welfare. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I'm sorry it was so short. Next time we'll really cover everything. Please do not tell me the score of the Ranger game. I taped it. I'm going home to watch it. I'll take that.
notes I take.